Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, 3 people are dead after a shooting at a Target store. We'll have details on the cross-city chase to catch the suspect.
A new push for tips in a Calhoun County woman's mysterious disappearance.
Plus, pre-trial hearings are scheduled this week in an Edna murder case.
We'll be talking about the hot weather. We'll also be taking a look at the Atlantic, where Erin, the tropical storm, is getting going. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment.
And the Placer Sharks look to make a deep run going into the 2025 season. We'll preview the Sharks later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry.
And I'm Don Brubaker. Pre-trial hearings are scheduled later this week for the suspect in the murder of an Edna cheerleader, with a jury trial scheduled to get underway in October. Romero is accused in the death of 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina. Romero was serving probation for a felony burglary charge and staying in Schulenburg with an expired work visa. Lisbeth was an Edna cheerleader who was scheduled to march in a Christmas parade 2.5 years ago, but she never showed up. Her mother found her stabbed to death in her bathtub. Police arrested Romero and said they found several of Lisbeth's belongings in his bedroom, including her wallet. Texas Rangers say they have video of Romero leaving Lisbeth's apartment complex on the morning of her death. The arrest warrant also outlines social media and text messages from Lisbeth's phone after her death. Authorities were able to track her cell phone to Schulenburg, where they found Rafael Romero. He is indicted on a charge of capital murder, but the district attorney's office is not seeking the death penalty.
A cash reward is being offered in the case of a Seadrift woman's disappearance 7 years ago. Calhoun County Crime Stoppers is offering a $1,000 reward for information on the case of Susie Escobedo. She was 25 when she disappeared in August 2018, leaving behind her 4-month-old daughter, her vehicle, and her phone. Authorities say years of searches have turned up no new leads, but they believe someone knows what happened. Tipsters can remain anonymous by calling 361-552-CASH. A deadly shooting outside a Target in North Austin just days before school starts. Multiple people are dead, and the shooter led police on a wild chase across the city.
Tonight, the suspect is in custody, and we're learning more about the victims. ABC's Matt Gutman has the details.
Tonight, 3 people pronounced dead after a shooting outside this Target in North Austin and a wild chase across the city involving at least 2 carjackings. The incident unfolding this afternoon amid a slew of 911 calls.
The suspect is armed and has shot multiple people.
Just before 3 p.m. local time, social media showing a massive response at this Target just a week before the school year resumes in Austin.
I hear on the radio, shots fired. So then, they just told us active shooter.
When officers arrived, they were met with 3 people that were shot inside the parking lot of Target.
By then, the suspect had already fled.
It was in the Target parking lot where the first car was taken. The first car crashed. The subject then ran into, I believe it was a Volkswagen dealership to take another car.
Police apparently losing track of the suspect until a bystander in South Austin called police for assistance nearly an hour later and clear on the other side of the Texas Capitol. Police say they're still investigating the motive for this shooting. Now, they say that this was a 32-year-old white male suspect with a rap sheet and a history of mental health issues. Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Texas Democratic lawmakers remain in Illinois for a second week as they block Republican efforts to redraw congressional maps. The Democrats left Texas to prevent a quorum in the state legislature. Representative Jean Wu says the group will return to Texas if Governor Greg Abbott commits to addressing flood relief before tackling redistricting. Wu tells reporters the lawmakers want Abbott to, quote, take care of the people of the state of Texas first.
I called a special session. I put items on the agenda, and by Texas law, those runaway Democrats are required to act on that agenda. They're failing to do their duty. So there's a violation of state law that allows me to seek the removal of those who've abdicated their responsibility. If they think all they have to do is wait it out until November, December, they're wrong. I'm going to do this for the next 2 years.
The Texas lawmakers say they are standing firm against what they call efforts to roll back voting rights across the country. Turning over to weather now, we've seen a little bit of rain kind of here and there, just adds to that humidity and stickiness outside.
Yes, we've seen a lot of that heat and humidity, and I have a feeling the Mac's going to tell us that streak continues. Am I wrong, Matt?
Well, and the worst part is that now here we are almost in the middle of August. These last 2 weeks of August are known as the dog days of summer. So none of that's going to be changing. I think that a cloud and a little shower may actually cool you down for at least a few minutes because otherwise temperatures stay on the hot side. Out in the middle of the Atlantic, we have tropical storm, I don't know why I have a thing against this. Erin is developing, and Erin will be getting close to the U.S. in a couple of days, and we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
Texas identifies the 119 people killed in the Hill Country floods. Most victims were Texans, but some were visiting from other states like California, Florida, and Alabama. The youngest victims were 1 year old. The oldest was 91. To read the full Texas Tribune article, come to crossroadstoday.com.
Local cattle experts are watching out for a threat sneaking up from Mexico. It's called the New World screwworm. This insect lays eggs in open wounds, eyes, and nostrils, mostly in cows and calves. But pets and even people can be at risk. Livestock can die within just 3 days of exposure. Right now, the southern border is closed to cattle trade while the USDA rolls out a 5-step plan to tackle the problem. New World screwworm was wiped out in the U.S. back in the 1960s, and officials are working hard to keep it that way.
An urgent rescue effort underway in Pennsylvania after a deadly explosion at a U.S. steel plant. Officials confirm one person is dead and one still unaccounted for.
At least 10 people were hurt in the explosion. Local authorities and ATF now investigating. ABC's Melissa Adon has the latest.
Authorities searching through the rubble of this U.S. steel plant in Pennsylvania that exploded Monday morning, killing at least one person and leaving another unaccounted for. 10 others injured. A time-lapse surveillance video capturing what appears to be the moment of that explosion just around 11 a.m. at Clairton Coke Works, just south of Pittsburgh.
Reported explosion with multiple injuries.
There's possible entrapment under the rubble.
Investigators with the fire marshal and ATF on scene trying to figure out what caused the explosion at one of the largest coking plants in America. This as crews search for that unaccounted worker. Earlier, first responders rescuing a trapped worker.
There were two unaccounted for individuals. Within the past hour, one of those individuals was rescued, has been transported to a local hospital.
Witnesses describe hearing a large bang and seeing a large plume of smoke. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman appearing at the scene, saying he was nearby at the time of the incident.
It's a dangerous job, undeniably. The steel way of life here is sacred, and it's still dangerous, without a doubt. This is tragic.
Among the victims, Timothy Quinn, the city's mayor confirming to ABC News that Timothy, a father of 3, was killed in the explosion. His sister earlier speaking to ABC affiliate WTAE when Quinn was unaccounted for.
It's disgusting. It's heartbreaking. He has 3 kids that are messaging me every 2 minutes, and we need answers.
The city lifting an air quality advisory after the conditions were deemed safe. Earlier this year, 2 workers at the plant suffered minor injuries after a buildup of combustible material ignited. In a statement, U.S. Steel said it's investigating the incident, adding employee safety is its top priority. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Back in the Crossroads, the Victoria College trustees approve a tax increase for property owners and an operating budget at a special meeting this afternoon. The board adopted a property tax rate increase from 17.09 cents to 18.32 cents per $100 of taxable value. The board also discussed and took action on next year's budget, contracts, and equipment purchases. An executive session also was on the agenda to cover personnel matters.
A local radio legend is being inducted into the 2025 Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Steve Kaufman, known as the godfather of Texas music, made a lasting mark in Hallettsville and Victoria. In 1993, he brought his Texas mix format to a network of stations in Hallettsville before moving to Victoria in 1999. He became known as the voice of Victoria, sharing his love of Texas music and rallying the community for countless causes. He died in 2006 after a battle with cancer. Kaufman is one of 20 broadcasters who will be honored at the induction ceremony on November 1st.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to receive alerts. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, millions of Americans could lose food assistance. How new work rules are changing who qualifies for benefits.
Also ahead, grocery bills keep going up and it's taking a big toll on families across the country. What's driving the rise? That's after the break. The public health community mourns the loss of Officer David Rose, who died during an attack at the CDC headquarters in Atlanta last week.
Authorities report the suspect believed that the COVID-19 vaccine made him sick. Grace King reports.
A somber silence lingers outside the Centers for Disease Control.
I am angry. I am angry. I am sad.
As the public health community mourns the loss of Officer David Rose.
The man had 2 kids and a third on the way, and he died protecting CDC and protecting people at CDC. So we are really grateful to him.
They know the DeKalb County police officer likely wasn't the intended target of Friday's attack. Neighbors tell 11 Alive the 30-year-old suspect from Kennesaw believed the COVID-19 vaccine made him sick.
This is an attack on the work that we do and the things that we work very tirelessly for, and I would like that to be known.
A source with the CDC told 11 Alive authorities had counted roughly 180 bullets on the Roybal campus as of Monday afternoon.
I'm worried because good people who work for places like CDC are not either going to be able to, or they're going to get discouraged and people won't continue to do it.
Despite the tragedy and the threats, Laura Fairs says the vital work of public health must go on. She hopes her former colleagues are up for the challenge.
Thank you so much for continuing to work. You guys are great. CDC is a great place to work, and they do just remarkable work. Thank you, guys.
More than 2 million Americans could lose food stamp benefits each month under new work rules. For the first time, some parents with children 14 and older will have to work, volunteer, or do job training at least 80 hours a month to keep their benefits. SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, has always required certain able-bodied adults without children to work beyond 3 months. But the GOP's Big Beautiful Bill now extends that rule to more families. President Trump enacted a new wave of tariffs last week, and many experts worry that this could drive up prices.
In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at what will cost more at the grocery store.
The high cost of groceries is straining many people's wallets. A recent poll shows 53% of Americans say grocery costs were, quote, a major stress. Overall, food costs continue to rise.
Since, 2020, food prices are up about 25%.
Phil Lempert, known as the supermarket guru, says the rise in prices is not only causing consumers to pay more, but also impacting grocers and manufacturers.
We're seeing some manufacturers play that shrinkflation game where, they're taking smaller size packages, putting less ingredients in them, but charging the same thing or even more.
President Donald Trump's latest round of tariffs could drive up prices further. Some imports coming from Brazil will now face a 50% tariff. Lempert says that means higher prices for coffee, sugarcane, and meats. Aluminum goods from Canada are subject to a 35% tariff, which could mean higher costs for certain soda and canned goods.
This is a major escalation of tariffs. It's across the board, across the entire world.
Lydia DePillis covers the economy for the New York Times. The Trump administration said in July the tariffs have generated $150 billion in tax revenue. But DePillis says that's actually a small amount.
It is typically about 2% of federal income. That could rise to as much as 5%, but it is not going to replace large amounts of the federal government's tax and spending.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
As many students are headed back to school this week, we want to hear from you. And we're asking what your students' biggest back to school challenge is. Is it changing that sleep schedule, waking up early? Is it the homework they have to take on? Making new friends, especially if you're at a new school or had to move at all? Or is it balancing between school and other activities? Been in the lead all night, waking up early, but it's now bumped up to 64%. So, go ahead and get in that routine. Go ahead and,
Is that a problem for
change
your
schedule.
children?
No, actually, my daughter's been kind of on that routine already. Last week, she started waking up early, making herself get up, and making me get up with her too. So, but we appreciate everyone who has voted. And if you have not, please come to crossroadstoday.com/vote and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, that's what I would have voted. Getting up early is the hard part of all of that. And then in college, when you get those 8 a.m. classes, oh my gosh. Anyway, folks, good evening, everybody. It's 83, warm and muggy out there. Of course, we had another hot, steamy day, getting up to 97, which is only 1 degree above our seasonal average. So yes, we're getting into the heat of the beast, because now we're talking really hot weather for the next 2 weeks. We'll talk more about it. Take a look at the tropics coming up in a moment. The way I always look at it like this is that now the kids are going back to school this week for most. That means that fall can't be that far away. Of course, we've got to survive another 2 hard weeks of some very hot weather. We take a look at Texas tonight. Things are fairly quiet. We did have a few little pop-ups earlier in the day. That all decreased now. Up in North Texas, there are some stormy weather right about that little frontal system, but that's about it. Now, what we're looking at here is very interesting. Right here off the coast of Florida, it's an upper mid-level low. It's a spinning thing. It's going round and round like this. Well, where is it going? At this point in time, it looks like it's going to be drifting into New Orleans by tomorrow. And then hopefully as we get to the weekend, it may be in our area. It'll just be a surge of tropical moisture that may give us a better chance of getting some actual cloud cover and some actual cooling out of that. And you can see how high pressure is building here, so that's kind of pushing it in that direction. So we'll watch and wait to see if that makes it across the Gulf. Other than that, the big news is that out in the Atlantic, we've got some tropical activity. Now, let's talk about the heat index. At 105, we start telling everybody, take it easy, take it easy. And so we want you to take it easy. I know you got work to do, but just respect the heat in the middle part of the afternoon, because this heat index is going to be quite oppressive, and it's up at the dangerous category. So, you know, you're overdoing, you're overworking, you're perspiring a lot, and then you don't stop perspiring. That means something's happening to your body there. So here's the big news. We've got Tropical Storm Erin. Why is it big? Well, it's one of the few storms we've had, and this one is going to strengthen. We're pretty sure it is. Right now, it's under some hostile environment because there's a lot of dust out there, but as we go through the week and it gets past right about here, you can see how it strengthens up to a Category 1, and already is forecast to be a Category 3, possibly stronger. The good news is that generally it's a fish storm. What is that? Well, that's a storm that doesn't touch the Lesser Antilles. Not even sure it's going to hit the mainland, but it is going to be very close. So we'll have to watch Erin very carefully, because as you can see, it'll be in the vicinity of the South Atlantic, and so anything that moves obviously is going to be a problem. In other words, it's going to be already a big storm, so we really have to follow its path. One of the few of the season. For those of you that are astronomically inclined, you've heard of the Perseus meteor shower? Okay, well this is happening. Let's get our eyes adjusted. If you look to the north and low on the horizon, you're going to be seeing meteors coming into the Earth. They'll be looking something like this. It's coming out of the Perseus constellation. This is Cassiopeia. But the interesting part is that tonight and tomorrow night is the best. Of course, you've got to stay up all night to watch this, but if you're into that stuff, that's August 12th and 13th. Peak rate of 10 to 15 meteors per hour. So, you know, you've got a dark spot, look to the north, and you may see something interesting from the skies. All right, let's take a look at your day planner for tomorrow in the Port Lavaca area. Getting up to 95, hot and steamy. Inland areas may see 1 or 2 little afternoon showers, but they're going to be hard to come by. And then as we get to the weekend, we hope to increase with that thing coming in off of Florida. But that's only slightly, and then we'll just hope for a cloud to try and cool down. That's our 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And like I said, it's football real soon. Ain't that right, Max?
That's right, Max, especially 2 weeks away there to football season. They're kicking off. And before that goes on, though, got a new UIL change regarding all spectators for all those football fans and other events going into the season. I'll tell you more about this coming up in sports. Crossroads, can't you believe it? We're only 2 weeks away from the beginning here of football season with the first scrimmages happening here this Friday. And today we have 2 CFL previews out there in Matagorda County, starting with the Palacios Sharks, who last year in 3 Division I, Sharks went 4-6 overall and 3-4 in district play, needing only 1 win to make the playoffs there. Again, 3-4 in district. They had a chance if they had 1 more win, they would have won the district. So the Palacios Sharks, they bring back top defensive back Trey Wexman, and they'll operate out of the spread offense this year, kind of utilize an odd front on the defensive side as well. And new head coach Travis Hoffman wants to create a new standard out there in Palacios for a long time.
That we want to make the most competitive products possible. We break out to expect to win. Kids clap, we will win. That's the expectation. We want to win, right? We're going to take care of the little things to get those and earn those wins, but we're here and we're committed to the process, and we want to continue to drive it.
Now, for hopes with these big-time facilities, as you see here at the new weight room and also the new field and everything else there for Palacios, that can make the postseason. Again, they're going to open up the season at Tidehaven, so not an easy task to start the year off for Hoffer and the Sharks. But see if they can do it, though, at Tidehaven on August 29th at 7:30 p.m. Over to the Bay City Black Cats, where last year they went 12-2 and reached the regional finals versus Lavernia Bears, where both teams faced each other for the second time in a row, but the Bears would win in that one 42-24. And Black Cats still did break a 20-year drought of winning the district title after they beat Calhoun 42-39, and that was since 2004. Breaking that drought there for the Black Cats. They get some big production, though, last year from Alex Estrada and wide receiver Zylan Williams, and they're hoping to kind of replace them because they scored those two together 51 points per game, along with some other players as well for the Black Cats. And this year they're going to rely more on their defense there with James Copeland, but also keep an eye on offensive wide receiver Jordan Johnson. So we asked both stars what they're expecting to bring in the Week 1 matchup versus the Sweeney Bulldogs.
Week 1 is showing what I made of myself, considering I got picked to be defensive AP for district. So, you know, I got a big chip on my shoulder, and I got a lot to put on for my peoples.
At least 2 touchdowns, 120 yards.
Very there for Johnson. Again, he wants to try to get that statement out there in Week 1. And also Robert Jones looking to start off strong because, again, every time they beat Sweeney in the past 3 years, 3 times in a row going into this season. They'll look to keep that trend going on August 29th. Now, with us highlighting all this football action and volleyball action coming up, the UIL is embedding a new rule change going into this year. This comes from Senate Bill 2929, which grants school districts and UIL officials can allow themselves the authority to remove any spectators from a sporting event if their behavior is found disruptive, abusive, or unsafe. This is different there from the previous years that, if you remember, because after they were given a warning before they possibly could get ejected there. But now it's a little bit different now going this year. So that means they see you out there and you're not doing the right thing, you're not being safe, respected environment out there as a fan, they will easily just kick you out on a no first warning right away. So keep that in mind just out there if you're a spectator. Don't go too crazy if you're doing anything out there at any sporting event. Over to some Monday Night Volleyball. A couple Crossroads teams started their season. First with the Cuero Lady Gobblers that faced Seguin Lady Matadors in Seguin, and earlier lost this one in 3 tough sets there. The first set they lost 25-22, the second set 26-24, and then the third set 25-22. So Lady Gobblers are back tomorrow night there for their home opener versus Victoria West, and that will start at 6 p.m. Now over to Industrial. They also were on the road at Beeville tonight, and just like their Lady Gobblers, they lost in 3 sets there to Beeville, and again, lost that one all tight sets each one. But they're going to try to see if they can get it back in a tri-match with Calhoun and St. Joe there at the Flyer Dome, and that's going to start at 2 p.m. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shauna, back to you.
Max, thank you, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, spots and stripes are stealing the show in Houston. What makes this zoo's newest resident so unique?
Watch tonight or I will have looked hot for nothing. I've made some giggle juice. It's called Giggle Water. I love that you said giggle juice like that was a thing we would all know.
New body camera video shows 2 NYPD officers jumping into water to catch an alleged car thief. The dramatic footage captures the 24-year-old suspect diving into the East Rockaway Inlet to escape arrest. The video then shows a female officer removing her gear and jumping in after him. The suspect pushes her underwater before her male partner joins the pursuit. Both officers are able to bring the suspect to shore. The suspect is now facing multiple charges, including criminal possession of stolen property and resisting arrest, obviously.
We take a deep dive into this story. Marine scientists found an astonishing ecosystem nearly 30,000 feet under the sea. These living organisms were found in the deep trenches below the ocean's surface between Russia and Alaska. A geochemist on a mission in a submersible found a series of organisms that use the chemical compound methane instead of sunlight to survive. The various species of clam and tube worm had never been found so deep below the ocean's surface. The scientist team believes the trenches act as both a reservoir and recycling center for methane.
Good thing it's underwater.
Yeah. That's
way underwater. My goodness.
That's 30,000 feet down.
Yes.
Which is deeper than Mount Everest is tall.
Yes.
Wow. So that's a long way down.
And there's methane.
Okay there, man.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. That we know less about what's under the water than what's above.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A little harder to get to.
Well, folks, underwater is a great place to be for the next couple of days if you can breathe, because it's going to be rather warm. 97 tomorrow, and we'll stay at 97 probably through the weekend. There's that area of disturbed weather off the coast of Florida that I'm hoping will cross the Gulf and maybe enhance our rain chances the coming weekend. Not that we want problems, but we want, not blazing sun all day long. A little cloud would be appreciated.
Looking out into the tropics, Aaron, way too early to really know what's going to happen.
Officially, what the Hurricane Center puts out, and that's the final word, that keeps it in the Atlantic. Watching the models, it also keeps it curving out, probably affecting Bermuda, but maybe not hitting the U.S. But I don't want to lower any kind of tension,
risk
expectation. It's still there, and it'll be the first major category hurricane of the season.
Okay.
So we watch it.
Definitely watching over the next week or so. Well, the Houston Zoo is celebrating a special arrival, a Baird's tapir calf who was born to parents Noah and Molly. The female was born July 23rd, weighing about 18 pounds and just made her public debut today. For now, she sports a spotted and striped coat, which is built-in camouflage in the wild. But those baby markings will fade over the next few months, and by around 7 months, she'll have the dark, solid coloring of an adult tapir. Zoo officials say mom and calf are both healthy, and they are ready to meet visitors. She looks so cute. She's following mom around and,
like you said, camouflage.
checking it all out.
It's a good thing,
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us tonight.
Join 25 News Now Sunrise at 5 a.m. Jimmy Kimmel Live starts now.